I didn't hear it at all.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could be you because
Yes.
I have a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder, and it
She
just woke
said
me up.
all of that. I didn't hear anything.
What do you eat or what do you do to
I
sleep like a
know.
baby?
I
Oh,
know.
shut up. It says pause. Oh.
Good morning, ma'am. Just come and have a seat up front. Miss Beulah, right?
You can go ahead and let everyone in.
Okay.
So you're saying there's only 5 in the queue?
Yes, and we have 3 in the
Okay, that's fine. So we know the 2 in the courtroom will be trials. So let me see what the announcement is with the people in the queue.
Ma'am, you can have a seat. What is your plea today, Miss Victor?
Oh, we on YouTube?
Are you not? Miss Victor? Oh, can you ask her what her plea is? I don't want to yell because we're recording right now.
What's your plea today, Mom? What are you pleading today? Not guilty or no?
Not
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
No, not you, Miss Beulah. Miss Beulah, no. You're good.
Thanks.
I forgot what the charge was. Speeding,
Speeding and suspended registration.
speeding and suspended registration.
That's Brandon. Brandon.
Okay, I know the suspended registration, but I thought it was a traffic device.
It is.
That's running the red
Oh.
light.
Okay, okay. Please,
Is that someone in the courtroom talking or is that someone in the queue talking?
Someone in the courtroom just walked in, Your Honor.
Okay.
I think we're settled. We're ready.
All right. I'd like to welcome, let me have everyone other than the police officers that are in the queue to please turn your video on. My name is Ronald Freeman and I'm the judge here in the city of Forest Park. This morning's calendar is our trial calendar. I believe we have 5 or 6 people in the queue. So I will go down the calendar and when you hear your name called, if you will announce guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere. Now, I'm asking you to do that because sometimes people come to court on their trial date and change their pleas to guilty or nolo. If you'd like to have a trial, you can stick by your guilty plea and we will conduct your trial in Forest Park on today. I want to remind you that because this is, we have jurisdiction to handle offenses such as traffic offenses, certain misdemeanor offenses, and certain city ordinance violations. If you enter a not guilty plea and the trial is conducted, please understand that the city has the burden of proof and the city presents its case first. You have the right to question any witnesses that are called by the city, and you have the right to inspect any documents before the court sees them. Once the city is finished presenting its case, you then have the right to present your case. And the same applies to you. The city has the right to inspect any documents that you might have before the court sees them. Once the court has heard from both sides, a decision is made regarding your guilt or your innocence. And if you disagree with a guilty verdict, you have the right to appeal that decision to a higher court. Understand the sentence of this court stands and must be carried out until the sentence in the higher court has been modified. So I'm going to go down the calendar to find out who is here. If you are someone charged with an offense, you would enter guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere. If you are a witness in a case, please sound and say, I am here and in what case that you are in. And after we have gone through the calendar, then we'll have how to proceed. My estimation based on the number of people in the queue and in the courtroom that we will be in court at least for the next 2 hours. So when I call your name, please announce guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere. And if you are a witness, say what case you are here on. Now, there are certain rules of virtual court that must be complied with. Number, please ensure that you're on at all times.
Your Honor, may I interpret a few of those things?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Ida.
Okay, you want me to make an announcement to see if somebody needs an interpreter?
If you will,
Okay.
please do that, yes.
Ok, buenos días, ¿hay alguna persona que necesite intérprete, tanto sea que tenga un caso hoy aquí o que sea testigo? Por favor, déjenos saber si necesita intérprete. Si llama en su caso, responda y diga cómo se va a declarar. Y si es un testigo, díganos para qué caso está aquí como testigo. El juez va a explicar otras cosas. Okay, Your Honor, I just make an announcement and advise them to let us know if they're here as a witnesses or as a person who has a case in the court.
Can you sound and see if there's anyone that needs interpreting services?
Okay, por favor, déjenos saber si alguien necesita intérprete. Por favor, active su micrófono o díganos de alguna manera si alguien necesita intérprete. I guess no, but I'll be here until you call the calendar, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. When you hear your name called, if you will, well, let me first finish the rules of virtual court. Keep your video on at all times. Please type your full name and your email address in the chat and send it to FPMC. Type your name and your email address in the chat and send it to FPMC. Please make sure that you have proper connectivity. Because we are in court, please remove all hats or other things from your head unless they are there for religious reasons. Please keep your device turned to mute unless you hear your name called. Please have your device on mute unless you hear your name called. I'm going to go down the calendar now, calling it at 8:13 a.m. Lejanda Burton. Lejanda Burton. That is FTA. Wendy Cook.
Not
Ma'am.
guilty.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Artist Denard. Artist Denard. That is FTA. Mr. Howard.
Witness.
Yes, Mr. Denard has not announced. If you want to host, just stay around for another 5 or 10 minutes to see if he comes into the queue. If not, an FTA will be issued, sir, and you'll be notified of his new court date, okay? FTA means failure to appear.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Edward Edison.
Not guilty.
Mr. Banks.
Excuse me, Mr. Edison, what is your plea?
Not guilty.
All right, Mr. Edison, at the time that your vehicle was stopped, did you have a valid tag that was valid at the time of the stop on the vehicle?
Your Honor, what happened? I'm sorry. What happened? Basically, what happened was we resolved everything, and they sent me something in the mail saying, or they sent me an email, but the dates were wrong. So I thought I had 10 days or whatever to pay. So I came in
You
to pay.
don't, you
She's like,
have
"Oh,
up until your birthday. So let me ask you this, Mr. Edison, you have to have your tag renewed by your birthday. So was it renewed by your birthday?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I think so basically what happened was we resolved this case already. I came
Okay.
in paid. When I came to pay, she said, oh, you got a failure to appear, or you had up to a certain amount of days to pay. And I was like, ma'am, that's not what the email said. The dates were wrong. And she's like, oh, it doesn't matter. You have to pay your
Okay.
failure to appear, which was $200. So basically what
All right.
I was like, y'all didn't give me the right information. She said, well, I could just put you back on the, the docket to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm here to pay the money. I'm like, y'all gave me the wrong information. It ain't like I waited 3 months or something. I came in with the amount of time that I was like, okay, this is when I need to
Mr.
pay.
Edison, let me do this. Let me go through the calendar. I'm going to put you down for not guilty. And when we come back to you, you can explain all of that to me.
All right.
Thank you. Jermaine Ellison. Tremaine Ellison. You can mute your device, Mr. Edison.
Yes, sir.
Tremaine Ellison, FTA. Corey Irvin. Corey Irvin, FTA. Travis Greggs. Travis Greggs,
How much did you pay them? Do you have a receipt?
that's FTA. Wendell Gregory. Wendell Gregory, FTA. Black Hatton. Black Hatton.
Lake City had the morning off.
I am hearing talking in the background. Please make sure your devices are muted. Pamela Hightower. Pamela Hightower, FTA. Brandon James. Brandon James. What is your plea, Mr. James?
Nolo.
All right. Are you entering a nolo plea to both offenses?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I have to talk to.
And it looks like, sir, you're not eligible for a nolo. So you'd have to enter a guilty or a not guilty. I don't mind assisting you. One of these is a suspendable offenses based on your driving history. I will see if you're eligible for a charge reduction, but you would have to pay the fines if you went forward with the guilty plea. If not, you can enter a not guilty plea, sir, and have a trial. So what would you like your plea to be?
I would plead guilty. Yes.
We'll call you back up here momentarily. If you'll go ahead and get your guilty plea form, Miss Green will give that to you. Antonio Jefferson. Antonio Jefferson, FTA. Raquel Madison. Raquel Madison, FTA. James McGuire.
Not guilty.
Thank you. You can mute your device back, Mr. McGuire, now.
Okay.
Mr. McGuire, your officer has a legal conflict that was brought to the court's attention. The court will need to honor it. Do you want me to reset this case and keep it in Forest Park, or do you want it bound over to Clayton County?
I guess bound over to Clayton County.
Okay, Ms. Green, we are going to bind Mr. McGuire's case over to Clayton County where he's eligible for a jury trial as opposed to keeping it here in Forest Park. Mr. McGuire, have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
No, sir.
Let me have you type your name and your email address in the chat. What is your email address, sir?
It's COBRASTANG05@hotmail.com.
I want to ask Ms. Payton, did we get that?
We have it.
Okay, then Mr. McGuire, you can check off. You will receive your bind over information. The next time you receive a court date, you will not come to Forest Park. You will go to Clayton County. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, then you can disengage from this session, and thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jeremy McLaughlin. Jeremy McLaughlin, that's FTA. Mr. Howard, we have not heard from the gentleman whose case that you were here on, which I believe is Artis Denard.
Yes, sir. Do I have a second to speak, sir?
You do.
In this scenario, the company actually everything was taken care of. I don't know if I need to drop all charges or how that works.
Well, you can't drop the charges. He has received a citation and we need to show up for court so we can adjudicate the case.
Okay.
You're just a witness, but I appreciate your statement, but you're just a witness, but it's the prosecutor's determination as to whether or not he wants to go forward with the ticket.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll be notified of the new court date. I just don't want to delay you anymore, sir. You can disengage from the call.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Shemaiah Montgomery. Shemaiah Montgomery. Shemaiah Montgomery, FTA. Alexandria Peak. Alexandria Peak, FTA. Crystal Reyes. Crystal Reyes.
Not guilty.
All right, Ms. Reyes, was there valid insurance on the car that you were operating at the date and time of the stop?
Yes, the
Do you
truck
have proof of that
is-
with you today? Do you have proof of that with you today?
I do.
I'm looking at her paperwork, Your Honor. Just
All right,
one
and then
second.
let me next know, was the car validly registered? We'll put her down for not guilty and come back to it for purposes of a trial. Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Ronald Stidwell. Ronald Stidwell. FTA.
Miss Dick-
Bayula Thigum.
Miss Thigpen is here. She's hard of hearing and she's on a walker. So give us
Is
a
it
moment.
Bayula Thig Hand? Is that who she's charged with all violations?
Yes, Miss Beulah Thigpen?
No, I'm not at her yet. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm looking at the calendar.
Oh,
Okay, I see what you all did. Yes, it is the start over, Ms. Green. What is her last name?
Her last name is Thigpen, Thigpen, Miss Beulah.
Ms. Green, is her last name Miss Thick Pen or Thick Hand?
Thigpen, Thigpen.
Okay, and what is her plea to the charge, the violation of the lease law?
What is your plea, ma'am?
I'm gonna plead not guilty.
Stay right here.
Okay, we will have her trial momentarily. Thank you.
Miss Thigpen, you can have a seat right here.
You go and sit over there.
Yeah, so you're closer, okay?
Carlos White. Carlos White.
Right here.
Carlos White. Carlos White. That's FTA. Eric Zambrana. Eric Zambrana. That's FTA. All right, I'm going back to the beginning of the docket, Mr. Prosecutor. And I want to release some of the officers on these FTAs. So it looks like we need Officer Richard. We need Officer I'm gonna ask Lewis to just hold on for a minute. We need Officer Ramos. We need Officer Glover. All the other officers, I believe, are excused. Is that your understanding? And do I need to repeat who we need? We need Richard, Officer Richard. We need Officer Lewis. We need Officer Ramos. We need Officer Glover. And that's it. All the other officers are excused.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct, Mr. Prosecutor?
That is, Your Honor.
Okay. Then why don't we start with, Mr. Prosecutor, do you want some time to talk to any of these folks, or are you ready for the trials?
I'm ready to roll, Judge.
Okay.
Excuse
then why
me.
don't-
Hello, I apologize. Good morning, Judge and Sir. Have we finished with the calendar? I have.
I have finished calling the calendar. Are you a witness or are you a person that was charged with a violation?
Well, I got a letter in the mail for a court hearing notification.
What is your name?
Brenda
Name.
Williams.
Brenda Williams?
Yes, sir.
Is this on the red light or is she a witness in this case? Ms.
It-
Green or Ms. Payton?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it a red light, ma'am? Red speed?
No, it's driving by the schools.
Yes, that's
Yes.
great speed.
That's red
that's a
light,
red
madam. We
light?
will handle that calendar right after we finish up this calendar. So if you will
Oh,
stay
okay,
on the
I
call.
apologize. Yes, sir.
All right. What is your name though?
My name is Brenda Williams.
Brenda Williams. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we will get to you once we finish up this calendar, okay? But thank you for letting us know you're available.
Yes. Sir. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, first, let's go to Wendy Cook.
Ms. Cook,
She's coming up, Judge.
All right, thank you.
if you need to, ma'am, you can sit in that chair right here. If you
It's
need
too
to.
high.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me ask, was this an accident? It looks like it. And do we have another driver?
It was an accident. Mhm.
Okay, do we,
Yeah.
I need to hear from the
Oh,
city as to
Mr.
whether or not this needs to be continued to subpoena the other driver, or,
Ms. Parker, Mr. Parker's on, or Ms. Parker, I'm sorry.
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Mr. Parker. I'm here.
okay, Mr. Parker, wonderful. So we have the witness and we have Ms. Cook, okay? And your name is Mr. Parker, is that correct? Hilliard Parker?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, everyone that is going to
Judge,
testify, if you will please raise
Before
your
you swear
right
him in,
hand.
Judge, before you swear him in, can I ask a
Yes.
question real quick? Because on Mr. Parker's device, it's got him checked in as Hillard Parker, witness for Wendy Cook. Mr. Parker, were you involved in the accident driving another vehicle that Ms. Cook was the other driver of, or were you testifying on her behalf?
I was the witness for the accident. Miss Cook actually hit me. So
Okay, all right, just wanted to clarify that for it. I'm sorry, Judge, just want to make
No,
sure.
no, thank you for that clarification. Everyone that is going to testify, if you will please raise your right hand. Ms. Cook and Mr. Parker, if you'll both raise your right hand. And Officer Richard as well. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
All right,
Judge? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, maybe my device is acting funny. I don't see Officer Richard.
She's never joined.
Wow.
Although we don't need Officer Richard because we have the two.
Right, okay, so we don't have Officer Richard, but that will become important a little later in this calendar.
All right. So, Your Honor, I'm going to go ahead and start with our witness who was the other person involved in the accident with Ms. Cook.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker, on August 5th of 2022, you were involved in a motor vehicle accident with a Wendy Cook. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that accident occurred within, as far as you're aware, within the city limits of Forest Park?
Yes.
At some point, somebody called Forest Park Police Department out to that location, and Officer Richard arrived at that location. Is that your recollection?
That is correct.
And you stated to the officer in reference to your position how the accident occurred. Is that correct?
Correct.
Were you issued a citation during this accident?
No.
All right. Can you state to the court from your position how the accident occurred?
Yeah, sure. I was traveling north on Old Dixie Highway, just about Cash Memorial Boulevard. There was a bad traffic accident on I-75 that morning. So in order to get to work, I took that route. It was heavy traffic, and just north of Cash Memorial, all the traffic had came to a complete stop. So we were at a standstill. The red light at Cash Memorial changed green for the traffic behind me. So I looked in my rearview mirror, and that approaching traffic was coming at a high rate of speed. So the first vehicle changed and made a right hand, went into the right lane. The second vehicle, which was a white panel truck, went left into the emergency lane. So that left Miss Cook, whose vision was blocked. She couldn't see. And so as the other truck quickly changed lanes, then it was like she was right on me. And by the time she could apply the brakes, she had a collision, rear end collision with my vehicle.
Okay, so Mr. Parker, let me just make sure that I understood your testimony correctly. You were at the head of this line of vehicles that were coming towards you from the rear end when traffic had stopped abruptly in front of you. Is that correct?
No, we were all stopped. The traffic ahead of me, I was stopped. The light changed okay, so going north on Cash Memorial, the light changed for me to turn. It was green for me, but immediately after me, it turned red. So the traffic behind me, by the time it got to the light, it had changed back to green, and we were already at a standstill.
Okay.
So we were sitting there for quite a while before that light turned green, but the traffic behind me, I guess those drivers didn't see we were at a standstill, and they were paying attention to the green light.
Okay.
So 2 vehicles peeled off, one left and one right, and that left her behind the truck.
All right. So,
And this was-
so let me just make sure that I understand. So in the sequence of vehicles, Ms. Cook would have been the 3rd vehicle that was coming up behind you.
That is correct.
The other 2 vehicles that at some point saw that the traffic had stopped ahead of them and had moved either to the left or to the right to avoid a collision for impact from the front of their car to the rear of the other vehicle.
Correct.
In yours, correct?
Correct.
And Miss Cook did not see, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but apparently because she made impact with your vehicle, she didn't notice the 2 other vehicles peel off to the left and the right to avoid impact, and she came straight through those vehicles and hit yours.
Well, yeah, the one on the right, that traffic was stopped as well. So the vehicle on the right was able to stop. The panel truck went into the turning lane and proceeded to pass me to keep from hitting me.
Okay. Clear. No other questions, Judge? You're on mute, sir.
Ms. Cook, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Mr. Parker?
No, I don't.
Okay. Does the city have any other evidence?
I would,
City rest, Judge.
All right, Ms. Cook, you now have an opportunity to say what happened.
basically, I was driving, I always try to maintain a car length or something very close to that. And I did stop abruptly. On this occasion, however, when I tried to stop, my brakes just went straight to the floor. They would not stop, and as a result, because of applying so much pressure trying to stop, I suffered a broken foot as a result of that. And there's been some issues with Hyundais with a similar issue with brakes going to the floor. I maintained my maintenance on my car. I wasn't due any. Last maintenance I got, my brakes were fine. And that issue was related to electrical problems. I never personally had that happen before, but they just straight to the floor. And I remember stopping, and I couldn't, stop because I do try to maintain the proper distance from cars, and I broke my foot, trying to stop. I have, doctor's report. I'm still in physical therapy from that, and and my car was totaled as a result because of that electrical. I have some reports that show that that's a problem with Hyundais, and it wouldn't stop. My foot just went pressure. I remember I just couldn't stop. Needed to stop, abruptly maintain, that proper distance, but it just kind of rolled into his car.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Ms. Cook, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I don't have anything to add other than, I maintain a proper distance. I think my driving record speaks, for that. I tried to be a cautious and safe driver. And they just went straight to the floor. My car is maintained. I have, evidence of that, as well as proof of the issues that I just described with Hyundai that I was not aware of, until that occurred.
Do you have any written documentation that shows that your car was experiencing any brake problems at or
No.
around that time?
I don't, because my vehicle was maintained and it wasn't due for another check. And prior to the last visit, you know, everything was fine with the brakes.
Do you have any documentation that supports anything that you said regarding the problems with Hyundais?
Yes, sir, I do.
And does that relate to brakes?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you tell me when that information was published, and I see the date of your incident?
Sure. Okay, so this is noted November 1, 2021, and it describes the same thing that I described. It says that the brake pedal would intermittently depress to the floorboard without warning, but I'd never experienced that, you know, prior to this accident. And the person had, you know, taken the car to the dealership for review. And then it said that the contact, they had the problem. They said, okay, your rotors need to be replaced. She had it performed. However, the failure persisted. And it said over time, you know, the person experienced issues with both her electrical system failures. And then different parts on the car started to fail. And so that one, I have that one. And then there's another one dated May 5, 2023. And it lists the same thing, that when the car, you know, the brake line.
Let me stop you. You said May 5 of 2023. Would it be another year? Because we're still in 2022.
I misspoke. So the first one is for 2021. The second report I have is for 2013, a similar issue. And then a third report is dated August 11, 2021. And braking system is defective in the accent. 3 separate occasions took it, you know, to the dealership. The problem is that the brake pedal goes all the way to the floorboards as my brakes lock up. And that is what I experienced on the day. It would not stop. It just went straight to the floorboard. So I wasn't following too closely. It's just that when I applied the pressure, it just went straight to the floorboard. And that's why I broke my foot from that pressure, you know, trying to stop. And I have my medical reports. I'm still in physical therapy. See.
Okay. All right. Let me say the prosecutor may have some questions to ask you. Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Ms. Cook?
I do not, Judge.
All right. All right, Ms. Cook, do you rest your case, or are there any documents you'd like to tender?
I don't know if this is, you know, helpful, but this is, it's gotten larger, but this is, I had a metatarsal fracture. That's my foot. It just
So let me say this to you, Ms.
and
Cook. Let me just say this. The damage that you sustained in this, while the court is very sympathetic to it, is not relevant to the traffic offense of following too closely.
Yes,
Okay?
well, I was just using that, Your Honor, to explain that in my effort to brake, I broke my foot because it went straight to the floorboard. It was not braking. And so.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Ms. Cook. What distance were you from Mr. Parker at the point that you first saw that his car was stopped?
I would say I was either a car length or half of a car length. I was not up on him. I was maybe half a car length or so, or more than that, but it just wouldn't stop. And I did recall seeing a car behind me move, you know, to go around because of that sudden stop. But I don't like to be moving around in lanes and stuff. I just stay put. So I tried to stop it. I couldn't. It just went straight to the floorboard. So to answer your question, I was a car length or maybe half a car length. I was not riding his bumper or anything like that. I just could not stop. And I remember trying and I couldn't stop.
All right. And then my second question is, what is the posted speed limit on the street that you all were on?
And I was driving that limit. I believe the speed is 30, 35.
Okay, so let me just tell you what the legal definition of following too closely is, so you will understand that if you're ever presented with this again. Basically, the law tries to measure you at being 1 car length for every 10 miles posted on the speed limit. So if the speed limit is 35 miles an hour, the law recommends that we are approximately 3.5 car lengths behind, so that if you are experiencing any problems, it gives you quite a distance to stop. Do you understand that? But that's why it's called following too closely, because of the legal measurement, not that you were necessarily riding somebody's bumper. Do you understand that?
I do, but I just would like to express to you that on that day, I don't think anybody was 3 car lengths from anybody because of the way the traffic flow was. I'm certain of that. Nobody met that criteria on that day.
Well, Mr. Parker says he thought the accident occurred because there was a car in front of you that swerved into another lane, and then you were up on the back of his car. So I don't know if that is correct or not, but I did just want to remind you of what he said.
Yes, sir. That is also true. That happened before I couldn't stop my brakes, and I think the police report mentions that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, ma'am?
This car, it is defective, and I've maintained my vehicle. I have proof of that. My last check, there was no issue.
Let me ask you something. When you say that your car was defective, have you taken that up with the automaker or the dealership?
The same response that people received in this report that I printed, that's pretty much, the response. If it's not happening at the time, they can't determine it. But they did link it in this report to electrical issues, and my car was totaled because of electrical issues.
Okay. All right. Ms. Parker, let me ask you some questions, sir. Has insurance resolved the situation?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Okay. And there's no physical injury or anything to you? There's no outstanding damage out there?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
If I may I make another statement, please?
I'm gonna let you make a quick one, sir, and then I'm gonna make an adjudication so I can.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, the truck that veered off to the left was pretty high. There's no way Miss Cook would have seen me pass that truck. And looking in my rearview mirror, she was more than 4 car lengths behind me because I saw the truck coming. But as the truck got closer and veered off, then immediately she was like right on me. So there's no way she could have seen me past that truck.
Okay. All right. I appreciate what both of you all have said. I will tell you there are a few inconsistencies in both, but you're testifying from the car that was hit, Mr. Parker, and she's testifying from the person that was driving the car, but I totally get it. So let me just, the charge is following too closely. Ms. Cook, based on the evidence that the court has heard, the court does guilty of the violation. There will be no fine imposed, and then I'm going to this to a basic rule so it does not show on your record. Understand that.
Thank you.
All right. So Ms. Cook, you are excused, and Mr. Parker, thank you so much, sir, and you are excused as well.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
All right. Ms. Cook, did you have another question?
I thank you, and I just wanted to mention too that I was quite a ways distance, but as the car wouldn't stop, I grew, of course, closer, to him.
Ms. Cook, let me just say something to you. I really do appreciate it. I've adjudicated the case. I just don't want you to say anything that's going to push this. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you understand what the court has done this morning? I want to be sure you understand what I've done.
So I won't suffer any kind of things on my record.
You do not have to pay a fine, and ultimately this will not show on your record, but you were adjudicated guilty. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do. So do I get a disposition or something?
If you want to wait there around when we're finished with our court session, they can provide that to you, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much,
All
Your
right, no,
Honor.
no problem. All right, next, let's go to Edward Edison.
Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, Miss Ida, you can be excused, and thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you this afternoon.
All right, Mr. Edison.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you're charged with an offense, expired tag, and a hands-free violation. Did this case go to trial, and Ms. Green, it's my understanding this case was tried and he was found guilty of these charges?
Yes, and we emailed you,
And let me
the
just ask
situation.
Ms. Payton, he was found guilty and then we sent out through DocuSign the ability for him to satisfy his fine. Was he supposed to do it within 2 weeks or was he placed on probation?
Just 1 second, sir, Your Honor. We sent you all the notes pertaining to him. Give me
I
1
did.
second.
I'm just going over what you sent me. I just want to be sure that once he was found guilty, was he placed on probation or was he given 2 weeks to pay?
2 weeks to pay, but he did not do the DocuSign and the link expired.
Okay,
For my
so it was, he did not respond within the 2-week time frame.
correct.
Okay, all right, let me hear from him. I just wanted to get that on the record. Mr. Edison, go ahead, sir. You wanted to talk to me about the adjudication for you to pay the fine amount within the 2-week time frame.
Yes, sir. So basically what happened, we had the court date that day. They were like, hey, we'll send you something in the email, right? When I went to open the email, the dates were wrong. So I didn't know if it was just a malfunction or whatever the case may be. So I was like, well, what I saw in the email said 30 days to pay the fine. So I'm like, well, this don't sound right. So I'm like, maybe they just sent me the wrong thing. So within that time period, I think like 2 days or 3 days after the November 7th, I went in like, hey, you know, I don't know what's going on, but I want to pay this because I never got what I should have gotten in the email. So when I got there, it was like, well, it's nothing you can do. You missed the date. I'm like, well, ma'am, the dates were all mixed up. So I really was kind of confused, but I came in to make sure I paid it because I'm like, I was waiting on the paper to come to tell me exactly what needed to be done. And maybe that was my misunderstanding, but when I saw September, I think the date was like September 25th, I'm like, this can't be for me. So I really was like a little lost because my court date with you guys have been switched up a couple of times where I got other stuff in the email that didn't make sense.
Okay, so let me just ask you, the documentation that you received that did not have the proper court date, do you happen to have that so that I can see it?
Yes, sir. I have it on my phone. I'm actually headed to the courthouse.
All right, well, why don't we wait
them.
until you get to the courthouse? You can show that to them and we'll deal with this when you get there.
All right, I'll be there in 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. Let me go to the next case, Mr. Prosecutor. The next trial is, I'll go to Brandon James. His is a guilty plea. Mr. James?
He's coming, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Looking at Mr. James' driving history, Ms. Payton, has he been charged with suspended registration before?
1 second, Your Honor.
Mr. James, is my understanding you're entering a guilty plea to both charges. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. But I wanted to talk to the solicitor about it, but I guess I can talk to you about it. But before I plead the guilty plea, I was trying to see if I can get a break on the registration, but because I have it now. But I'm gonna
No, your registration means that you had a lapse of insurance. So I'm checking to see whether or not this is going to suspend your license. And if you, I don't mind reducing this so it does not suspend your license, but you would have to satisfy both fines. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So do you want to go forward with the guilty plea or do you want to change your plea to not guilty and have a trial?
I'm gonna go forth with the guilty plea. Just to keep in mind, if I have a suspended license, I can't take my son back and forth to school and things like that. So I really need that.
Okay. Well, again, I'm going to do this based on your driving history, which they're about to tell me. So,
yes, sir.
Again, Miss Green, has he been charged with suspended registration before?
No, I don't see a registration issue before. any
Do we
previous.
see any other suspendable offenses?
Oh, yes. He's a super speeder. He has repeat Georgia serious commercial issues. Let's see.
Does he have any license suspension based on a suspendable offense?
Okay, his license. Georgia's serious commercial disqualification, repeat Georgia serious commercial violation is saying that you have a valid license, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, he has an extensive history, sir. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second, Judge Freeman.
That's okay. I know that's fine. Go ahead and take your time.
Driving while license withdrawn, driving while suspended or revoked.
What years were those?
Those were. Okay, this one was 2014, 2013. Let's see something more.
Do we have any within the last 5 years?
2021 super speeder. Let's see. Speeding again in 2021. Where he played NOLO. He was doing 101 and a 55. And then another one in 2021, 102 and 65.
Okay.
Your
So
Honor,
it sounds like he has speeding offenses, but he has no suspendable offenses within the last 5 years.
Correct.
Am I understanding you correctly?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. James, the court will accept your guilty plea to the 2 violations. Do you understand that, sir?
yes, sir.
You understand that by entering this plea, you're entering the plea without the assistance of a lawyer?
Yes, sir, I do understand that.
And sir, do you also understand that by entering the plea that you are waiving your right to a trial?
Yes, sir.
Sir, are you entering the respective guilty pleas to the suspended registration and the traffic control violation? Are you entering this plea freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe it is in your best interest to enter into the respective guilty pleas today?
Yes, sir, I do believe.
All right. Ms. Green, we're going to reduce the suspended registration charge to an expired tag so it does not suspend his license, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
The total fine for both violations is $9.95. You will be placed on probation, sir, for 12 months. Do you understand that?
I'm trying to understand the price.
There's nothing to understand about the price. That's just the fine amount.
Okay.
Yeah. The fine on the traffic control charge is $200. The fine on the suspended registration, which was reduced down, was $7.95. So those are the fine amounts. So those will have to be paid. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Now, I will give you an opportunity if you say, Judge, I want to change my plea to not guilty and go forward with the trial. I don't mind letting you do that. Just understand, if you are found guilty, you are facing a suspendable offense. So you tell me, would
Yes,
you
sir, I
like to
understand
change
that.
your plea to not guilty?
No, sir, I'm gonna keep it the same.
So you want to stick with the guilty plea. Is that correct, Mr. James?
Yes, sir, I keep it the same.
All right. Sir, you will be placed on probation for 12 months to pay the sum of $9.95. 3 months of your probation will be mandatory, and there can be no moving violations during that 3-month time frame. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Ms. Green, he'll be placed on probation for 12 months to pay the sum of $9.95. 3 months of his probation is mandatory, and a condition of his probation is that there will be no moving violations during that 3-month time frame.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. James, do you have any questions regarding the sentence of the court?
Yes, sir. If I was to, after the 3 months, the mandatory 3 months, if I was to pay it off in full, the terms of my, will the terms of my probation be excused?
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions, sir?
No, sir.
All right. We'll go to the next matter. If you'll
Yes.
have a seat, Ms. Green will take care of you.
Yes,
The
can
next matter is Crystal Reyes.
Judge, can I interrupt
Yes.
quick?
Yes.
We have logged on, we have a Tanisha Billups, who's a witness on the Tremaine Ellison case. It appears from my calendar that Miss Ellison was a FTA 816.
That is correct. So thank you for bringing her to my attention. Miss Billups. To Miss Billups, if you will please turn your video on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Miss Ellison has not, she is FTA, so there will be a failure to appear issued for her. Once they have gotten her attention, she will be given a new court date, and you will be notified of the new court date, but I don't want to have you sitting around listening when we don't have the offender on in the court session, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. It's a mail though.
Okay, it's a mail. Then have you typed your name and email address in the chat?
No, I couldn't figure out how to do that.
All right, can you provide them with your email address so that they can also make sure that they can, well, I guess you received your subpoena through the mail, is that correct?
I did not. Actually, I found it. I received my subpoena via cell phone, and it was less than 24 hours. So I'm kind of trying to juggle.
What is your email
court
address?
appearance.
Can you type your email address in the chat, or do you want to just tell us your email address?
I just figured out how to do it. I'm gonna type it in the chat now, sir. Would you like me to give it to you as well, or you just want me to type it in the chat?
PC. Do you understand that? Type it in the chat and send it to FPMC, but will you also tell Ms. Payton your email address?
Okay, I apologize, Your Honor. You went out one more time. Say it one more time.
If you will please tell us your email address.
It is B as in Bob, ILL as in Lincoln, U as in Union, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, I as in India, S as in Sam, D as in dog, A as in apple, T as in Tom, U as in Union at yahoo.com. Or you can use my my work address, which is Tanisha, which is T as in Tom, U as in Union, N as in Nancy, I as in India, S as in Sam, H as in Henry, A as in Apple, dot Billups, B as in Bob, I as in India, L as in Lincoln, U as in Union, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, at ClaytonCountyGA.gov.
Ms. Payton and Ms. Green, do we have her email address?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then once Mr. Ellison is secured and the FTA is handled, you'll be notified of the new court date. Thank you. You can disengage from the call, Ms. Billups.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. The next trial, I believe, is Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. And she has two document matters. Ms. Green, is there any announcement as to whether or not there was valid insurance on the car at the date and time?
Okay, Your Honor. So she received her citation July 12th, and the insurance information that she provided states that it's a New Mexico proof of financial responsibility that became effective the next day, July 13th. When that vehicle was ran, it came back, the owner being Michael Thomas Bricker, and that it did not have any valid insurance. She provided another document stating that this is a company vehicle, and she gave me a certificate of liability stating that her company, All American Motorsport, is covered by Bulldog Insurance. However, I don't see, as I look at this document, I don't see anything in reference to that vehicle, any names or anything like that. And so she said that she had another tag in the car, that she just went to her vehicle to get that plate.
The truck is a company's truck. The day I got stopped, they asked me about the insurance, and I gave them the paperwork. But he stated, I called my boss that day, and he stated I couldn't provide that paperwork because it could have been Photoshopped. So the officer was like, can you go ahead and call your insurance?
it was past 5. Our insurance closed at 5. They recently purchased the truck, so it was new, and they gave me this, that it was a 30-day thingy, the company did. I had this and also the dealer's tag, and expired that day I got stopped. So I mentioned to the company that what they mentioned about the insurance, and the next day he went to get a personal insurance for the truck. So I didn't deal with no issues, but it was covered under the company during the time it was purchased. We didn't have nor like a week that it was purchased. It's a company's truck. It's not mine. I just work for the company.
Okay, so young lady, unfortunately, it sounds like that there is at least the possibility that the truck may not have been covered, or you're not able to show that it was covered on that day. Do you want some time to bring your boss to court so that he can provide that information on your behalf?
It was the insurance that I showed by Bulldog. It was covered by that insurance. All our trucks on that company is covered by that. It's a dealer.
Okay, the information that you have provided does not support that. So my question is, do you want to bring your boss to court and let your boss provide whatever coverage applies? Because the information you've supplied today, it does not show there was coverage on that day. Do you understand that? So my question is, do you want some more time to get the correct information, or are you ready to go forward with the trial today?
I'll bring in my boss.
Okay. If you will provide Ms. Green with your boss's name and information, we will reset this and give you an opportunity to bring your boss down and for them to so that we can verify the insurance and the registration. It can always be done before the court date by coming to the courthouse before the court date and providing that information. Do you understand that?
Yes, also I had stated, I had mentioned it to him, like it was registered. He's like, yes, the truck's been getting the admission. Like it was way before July.
Well, let me do this. You're telling me everything secondhand, and I appreciate you doing that. But if this is a company car, as you're saying it might be better for your boss to come and explain rather than you repeating something that's not able to be supported, okay?
Because the truck is registered under the company's name, so I'll be bringing him.
What is your boss's name?
Oscar G. Galabay,
And what's the name of the company?
All American Motorsport LLC.
Okay, so we will expect you to have him in court on your next court date. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Okay, Ms. Green, we will just reset this matter.
Okay, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. And I think the last case is Ms. Thigpen, and then we'll go to the
My email.
red speed cases. Is that correct?
That's correct. And we
Okay.
have, I'm assuming Mr. Edison is in here as well.
Okay, we will deal with Mr. Edison before we go to the red speed. Let's address Ms. Thigpen.
She's coming, Your Honor.
Okay. And for Ms. Thigpen, do we have the officer here?
He was notified. He has not shown up.
Okay. Does the city have an announcement regarding Ms. Thigpen?
Yes, Your Honor, the city will move to dismiss for want of prosecution.
All right, let Ms. Thigpen know that the officer is not present. This charge is being dismissed for want of prosecution. If we'll have her to sign a plea form where she's entered a not guilty plea, we will do an order where the charge has been dismissed. Ms. Thigpen, did you hear that?
Well, yeah, I did.
Okay, if you will have a seat, they will take care of you.
Just sign up.
And then lastly is Mr. Ellison, is that correct? Edison.
Do
Ms.
what?
Thigpen, I'm sorry, we're gonna have you sit over here. We're gonna give you a clipboard.
Or what?
So you can sign that and you're free to
Oh,
go.
well, I can sign it right here.
Yes, ma'am, you're free to go after you sign that. Sign and date that. 1 second, Your Honor.
That's fine.
Okay,
Thank you. You're free to go, ma'am. Your case has been dismissed. You're free to go.
oh, I am.
You
Yeah.
are.
Well, thank you.
You can
Thank
go home and
you.
get out of this rain.
Well, thank you for giving me the time to
No,
make up that money, you
no,
know, 'cause I had to
no
save it.
problem.
Thank goodness.
No problem at all.
All right. You said Mr. Edison is in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is, I don't know
All
if you
right.
can see it.
Mr. Edison said that he had a letter that had conflicting or improper information on it.
Okay, I'm looking at that now. So he came to court on October
11, if I'm not mistaken.
So let me tell you what's important here. It looked, he had a trial, he was found guilty. What I'd like to see is what information did we send him regarding payment, which is if he was sent something to pay in 2 weeks, didn't do it, or if he did not open up the DocuSign, I'd like to know that.
Okay, so we did send the information initially on 10/19 to edisonedward@yahoo.com.
Is
it
that
was
your
opened
email
by
address,
him
Mr.
on that.
Edison?
Yes, sir. It was, I opened it, but the dates are conflicting. Even when I just showed her, when I opened it and screenshot it, it's still saying September 25th, 2022. Even when I came here on November 7th to get this new date, it still showed September 25th, 2022. And I was trying to explain to the young lady, hey, this was wrong. I didn't even understand what was going on because they said I needed to be paid. It needed to be paid by September 25th. I'm like, how is this even right?
No, well, let me say this to you, Mr. Edison. If you were found guilty, I tell you it needs to be paid within 2 weeks.
Yes,
And
sir.
I tell you that you will get your information through DocuSign, through your email by close of business the next day. So did you pay the fine within 2 weeks of me finding you guilty?
I did not, Your Honor, because I
Okay.
really was.
So has the fine been paid to date?
I didn't let me pay the fine. It made me
All
pay
right.
$200.
Well, let me ask you this. So he has an FTA fee and he has a fine. Is that correct, Ms. Green?
Hold on, let me check this on the phone.
I've paid $200 already.
All right, he's paid the FTA fee, then he just simply needs. Go ahead, Ms. Green.
Yes, he's paid the FTA fee.
Then he needs to pay the fine. Are you able to pay that today, Mr. Edison, or are you able to satisfy the fine today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let him go to the clerk's office and pay the fine, and that will close this out.
Can I ask you a question? How is that?
You certainly can.
How is that my fault if even the information you guys sent me were wrong?
Well, I don't know that the information was wrong, but I do know that I cannot control when I tell people what we do for every court case. And I will say that once you're equipped with that information, if you are getting information and you feel like it is inconsistent, it really is your responsibility to follow up. And it sounds like that did not happen. You were found guilty. You were ordered to pay a fine within 2 weeks. The DocuSign came out through your email, which you said was your correct email. And I'm not criticizing you. I'm just simply outlining to you what I understand happened. When it was not paid, that triggered the FTA fee. But the fine needed to be paid. Had the fine been paid in 2 weeks, we would not have had this conversation. Even if you had come back and said, Judge, I can't pay the fine, can I get it converted to probation? That would have been fine, but it sounds like you did nothing. And so I don't know all the circumstances up under this. And I know that you want to put some blame on court service, and I respect that. But I also want to say that you're going to need to share that. But at this point, the FTA fee has been paid. So that will keep your license from going in suspension. And what you do need to do is finally go satisfy the fine, which you told me you could do today. So they're going to direct you to the clerk's office to do that.
So basically, I basically got screwed because of the information that was sent to me wrong. I mean, it's fine. It's all right.
Okay, you direct it to the clerk's office, sir. Thank you.
Where do I pay?
Just have a seat because we're in here.
All right, now let's go to red speed.
You gotta share that. All right.
Does that conclude the municipal calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, great job.
Love the red speed document.
All right, this is Miss Brenda Williams.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Miss Williams?
Good morning, all right.
Good. Let me get you to raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if you're lighting, but I cannot see your face.
I don't know what's on this line either.
I don't know if it's the lighting in the back, but
It is, it's,
but let me have you to,
maybe I'll turn this way. Is that too much light? Yeah.
okay, you're good. Let me have you to please raise your right hand. Can you please raise your right hand? Okay. I don't see you at all now.
Uh-oh.
Ms. Williams?
Can you see me now, Your Honor?
We can. Can I please have you to raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to provide regarding the City of Forest Park School Zone Safety Program citation is true and correct based on your information and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
All right. You were here because this particular vehicle, and Miss Green or Miss Payton, can you all scroll up so I can see what type of vehicle this is?
I'm sorry, Judge Freeman, were you waiting on me?
Yes, can you please scroll up so I can determine the make and model of this vehicle?
Yeah. Hang on, Judge.
All right. Ms. Williams, do you own a 2011 Mitsubishi Eclipse?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. And is this your vehicle that's depicted in this photograph?
That's my vehicle.
Okay. And were you operating this vehicle on August the 8th, 2022 at 10:03 a.m.?
I'm gonna have to agree to it because it's not like I got this that day, but yes, if the camera, yes.
No, listen to my question. My question is, were you the operator on that
Oh,
day?
yes. I apologize. Yes, I'm always the driver of that vehicle.
Okay. So you were being accused of speeding in a school zone of going 49 in a 35 miles per hour school zone. That's why you're here. This particular ticket is not a traditional municipal court ticket that goes on your record. It's done via a camera system. And this camera system basically tells you what the defenses are, and it also tells you that it's a civil violation and not a criminal violation. So Ms. Green or Ms. Payton, let me ask you, Ms. Williams, let me just ask you this, Ms. Williams. You are contesting this ticket. Why don't you tell me why you believe you should not be found civilly responsible for this ticket?
Because this ticket is showing 10:08, no lights are flashing at that time. And I truly try to abide the area, and I truly think that's the best idea ever to keep our kids safe. But yes, sir, I always try to abide by the law, but no light was flashing. There's
Yeah,
no
let me
way
just
I
say,
would
on speed, the school zone speed is 25 miles per hour. And so they have you going, you're not in the school. This is not during the school zone speed. This is just a regular civil speeding ticket.
So what is that then? So that, excuse me for saying it like I heard it. So that's like a speed trap then? Because then
I
it's
don't know
not
that
under
it's a
the school
speed trap,
system.
but it's saying that the posted speed limit on the street you were driving on based on this ticket is 35 miles an hour, okay?
Yes, Your
This
Honor.
ticket says you were going 49 miles an hour. So this is just a speeding ticket via a camera that you've been tracked with. So if you say, I don't believe I just want to know, what is it that you're saying that you're
What
not
I'm
being
saying, I
charged with
feel like,
speeding in the school zone?
yes, sir, because this not school time. This is 10:03?
That is correct. That is correct. So the speed limit during non-school time is 35 miles an hour. You're being
Correct, Your Honor.
accused of going 49 in a 35.
Correct, Your Honor. But the thing, this for school law for the kids, but no kids was out at this time. That's 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I feel like we're, and which is, I don't know whether to say good or bad, but we policing and it's not even school time. We using our cameras, I feel like, at the wrong times.
Okay. Well, there is information on here for you to be able to go in and contest this, okay? I'm going to find you not, go in and address this with the school safety program, okay?
Okay.
All right, ma'am, you can discharge from this phone call.
Wait a minute, but what's going on, Your Honor?
You have been found civilly not guilty.
Your Honor, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. You can disengage from the phone call.
Thank
From the
you.
court session, okay?
Yes, happy late Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Okay, take
Yes,
care.
sir. All right, bye-bye. I don't know how to get off.
Ms. Payton and Ms. Green, can you disengage her from the call?